One act of kindness changed his life. Motivational story about karma and compassion. Intro. Sometimes, one small act of kindness can ripple across years, changing not only the person who receives it, but also the one who gives it. This is the story of a man whose life was transformed by a single act of compassion, and how karma returned that kindness in ways he could never have imagined. So settle in, close your eyes, and let this story guide you for the next hour. Part 1. The struggle. Arjun was a young man in his late 20s, living in a crowded city. He had come from a small village, carrying only dreams of a better life. But city life was unkind. He worked long hours in a factory, barely earning enough to survive. His shoes had holes, his stomach was often empty, and yet he walked the busy streets with his head held high, telling himself that one day, things would change. But deep inside, he felt invisible, just another face lost in the crowd. One evening, after another long shift, Arjun walked home with only a few coins in his pocket. The rain was pouring, the streets were crowded, and his body felt weak. As he passed by a small bakery, the smell of fresh bread overwhelmed him. He stood there, staring through the glass, but he couldn't afford even a single roll. That night, he sat on the steps of his small rented room, hungry, tired, and hopeless. He whispered to himself, "Why is life so cruel? Maybe I'll never escape this struggle." Part 2. The act of kindness. The next day, as he dragged himself to work, Arjun saw an old man sitting by the roadside. His clothes were torn, his beard was long, and his hands trembled as he held a small tin cup. The man's eyes, though tired, carried a quiet dignity. Arjun reached into his pocket and felt the few coins he had left, barely enough for a cup of tea. For a moment, he hesitated. He had nothing. Why give away what little he had? But something inside him whispered, "Be kind, even when it hurts." So he dropped his coins into the old man's cup. The old man looked up, his eyes watering. "Bless you, son. May your kindness return to you 100-fold. Arjun forced a smile, though his stomach growled with hunger. He walked away, lighter in spirit, though emptier in pocket. Part 3. The ripple. That very evening, something unexpected happened. As Arjun reached his factory, the manager called him in. "There's been a vacancy in the office. It's a small promotion, but we think you're hardworking enough to handle it." It wasn't much, just a modest increase in pay and a shift away from the harsh labor floor. But for Arjun, it was the beginning of a new chapter. Day by day, he worked harder, always remembering the blessing of the old man. His kindness had cost him almost nothing, but somehow, life had already begun to repay him. Part 4. Rising higher. Years passed. Arjun rose through the ranks, from clerk to supervisor, from supervisor to manager. With each step, he never forgot the lesson he had learned: kindness multiplies. He made sure his workers were treated with respect. He would secretly pay the medical bills of struggling employees, buy books for the children of poor families, and even ensure that nobody went hungry during the holidays. People admired him not just for his success, but for his heart. Part 5. The full circle. One winter night, decades later, Arjun was now a respected businessman. He owned a small chain of stores, lived in a warm house, and was known for his generosity. On his way home, he noticed a frail old beggar sitting in the cold. Something about the man's eyes seemed familiar. Arjun stopped his car, walked over, and placed his coat around the shivering shoulders. The man looked up slowly, and Arjun froze. It was the same old man from all those years ago. His beard was now whiter, his frame weaker, but those eyes, they hadn't changed. The old man whispered, "You were the boy who gave me his last coins." Arjun felt tears sting his eyes. "And you were the one who blessed me. Your words carried me through my life." He took the man into his car, gave him food, shelter, and warmth. The very next day, he arranged proper care for him. Part 6. Karma's gift. In time, the old man passed away peacefully, but Arjun carried his memory forever. At the funeral, Arjun spoke softly. "One act of kindness changed both our lives. He blessed me when I was nothing, and I pray I honored his blessing with my life." Arjun went on to start a foundation, helping the poor, feeding the hungry, and providing education for children. He dedicated it in the old man's name. And people often asked him, "What inspired you to build all this?" Arjun would always smile and say, "It began with a single act of kindness, given when I had nothing." Compassion is never wasted. The universe always returns it. Outro. The lesson. This story reminds us that no matter how small, every act of kindness has the power to change the world. Sometimes, life feels cruel. Sometimes, we feel like we have nothing left to give. But even in those moments, compassion can light a fire that burns for decades. Remember, what you put into the world comes back to you. Kindness multiplies, compassion heals, and karma always finds its way home.